Good afternoon, YouTubers. Welcome back into another edition of Astros Recap, last regular season edition. So it is October 7th, 2:57 p.m. So obviously we'll go into the 3 o'clock hour here this Friday afternoon, talk about some things. We'll talk about their last 3 games. Obviously the Astros don't play till Tuesday. We do not know the time yet, but their first game will be on Tuesday. Um, so they got some days off here as we await the winner of the wild card series between the Blue Jays and the Mariners. So that actually kicks off here in just a few minutes, that game. So I'll be watching some of that. Playoff baseball has started today, so today's the big day as they'll play their 3 game series here for those teams. Obviously the Indians, the Guardians, so knocked off the who'd they beat? They beat the Rays, so they take a 1-0 series lead, 3 game set obviously, be played tomorrow and Sunday as well. Unless the Guardians win again tomorrow, then if they do that, then series is over. So you say short little 3 game sets here for the wild card rounds. The Cardinals and the God, I can't even think about this. Cardinals and the Phillies are playing right now. That score was 0-0 last time I checked it, so we'll see what happens there. And the game, the winner we're waiting here at this next game will be of course, the Blue Jays and the Mariners. And then tonight we'll see the Mets and we'll see the Mets and the Padres. So, yeah, 4 games to sort of keep an eye on today, but fix that real quick. Yeah, it's bothering me. Yeah. Anyway, so the way I'm gonna do this is I'll talk about the 3 games we played, and then I'll talk about sort of the roster, the way I see things shaking out. 26 guys. But yeah, first we'll shortly go over the 3 games they played here. So they won 2 of 3. Obviously, I've had that mindset of 105 wins, for the last few weeks here. Obviously, that was not the case as they took 2 of 3. So they finished the season at 106 and 56. So I can't complain too much about that. I feel like every year as we're sort of getting towards the end, especially the last few years, and the Astros really haven't been playing for much at the end. They've already clinched everything. It's always about just sort of getting a number I sort of have in my head, a number that I want. And this year it was 105. Talked about the 101 win season, 17, 103 and 18, 107 and 19. So missing that 105, but I'm not going to harp over that. So, by the way, the Phillies won the opener, which was on Monday, on a start where who pitched? Lance McCullers, who wasn't bad. The offense didn't show up. The Astros did a 2-hit shutout by, was it Austin Nola or whatever his name is? I get confused because there's an Aaron Nola. It might be. I don't know what. All right, now I got to check this because this is gonna bother me here. So I hate going into my phone having to search around as I talk here, but unfortunately, it's what I have to do. So let's find this thing. 3-0 was the final. But yeah, the Astros mustered 2 hits. McCullers wasn't bad, but it's looking like Aaron Nola. Yeah. So Austin Nola. God, I don't know where he's at now. I think Austin Nola's the guy who played for the Mariners at one point. Don't know where he's at now. But yeah, there's 2 Nolas. Aaron Nola's the guy who shut them out. Numbers aren't spectacular. He's 11 and 13 this year. 3.25 ERA, which is pretty good. Whips under 1. His numbers are solid, but his win-loss record isn't very good. But yeah, he shut down the Astros. So McCullers wasn't bad on the start here. So he went 6 innings, 1 earned run, 6 hits. Struck out 5, walked 1, but got the loss. So he finishes his season at 4-2, 2.27 ERA. So you have to be happy with what McCullers has given you. Obviously, he didn't pitch for the first 4.5 months, whatever it was. But 50 strikeouts and 47 2/3 innings. You have to be happy with what McCullers has given you. So he's probably, I want to say, the 3rd starter in the rotation come playoff time. I mean, I don't think you're really going to go anywhere else. Obviously, Javier's been better, but we'll see how things shake out. So, but they did lose Monday, and they bounced back. Big outburst early in Tuesday's game. They won that 10-0. Verlander got the start. Only goes 5 innings. They didn't really stretch him out a whole lot, but 10 strikeouts, 1 walk, didn't allow a hit. 5 no-hit innings. That improves the record to 18-4. So he's in line for winning another Cy Young. ERA at 1.75. I mean, that's incredible. So, but yeah, 18-4. So Hunter Brown gets in. If you got 7 outs, walked a guy, struck out 3. So, with Hunter Brown, I think I mentioned this last week. They're just sort of getting him into the routine of pitching out of the bullpen because he will be a part of the playoff roster, and that will be sort of his role. So Hector Neris got 2 outs, and then Will Smith comes in. The Astros had no hitter actually going into the 9th, but Will Smith obviously put an end to that as he gave up 3 hits. But then he struck out the side, so they still shut him out. But yeah, Will Smith, you can count on him to mess things up, and that'll be a guy we talk about when it comes to playoff rostering here in a few minutes. Wednesday game really meant nothing. Astros pulled it out 3-2. Things got a little dicey there at the end. But they gave up 2 in the 8th. Kind of hoping they'd lose this game, but whatever. Framber Valdez, he was the guy I was interested. He pitched well. Again, only 5 innings, but 2 hits, struck out 10, walked 1. 17-6 is his final record as he goes into the playoffs here as the quote-unquote number 2 guy in the rotation. But Brady gets a solid inning in. Stanek as well. Phil Maton gave up the 2 earned runs. So Maton, that's another guy that's sort of on the fringe. There's a playoff roster here. Montero gets a hold, and Presley gets his 33rd save, brings the ERA under 3. By the way, Brian Stanek actually set the single-season ERA leader, or as for any reliever, all-time at 1.15. I feel about Stanek. I mean, he gives up a lot of his inherited runners, and he'll walk guys. He never makes things easy, but Stanek does deserve a credit for what he's been able to do this year. Looking at his season statistics, the 1.15 ERA, 2-1, 62 strikeouts, and 54 2/3 innings. Here's what's concerning: the 1.23 WHIP. Now, if he had a WHIP under 1, then I'd think he'd deserve a lot of credit. But he does have a tendency to walk guys, puts runners on base, but he doesn't allow a lot of his runners that he puts on to score. So that's why his ERA is as low as it is. By the way, that record for the single-season ERA lead of any reliever was set by Will Harris, who I'm an all-time Will Harris fan. He was my favorite Astro, which is weird because he was a reliever. But he never really got the credit he deserved in our bullpen. And he had the record there at like 1.50, I believe, back in 2019 is when he set the record there. Stanek broke that, obviously. Stanek will be in the postseason roster, obviously. We'll talk about that, obviously, coming up. So that sort of rounds out the season there. I think Altuve got to a 300 batting average right on the dot, so that's his best since his MVP year back in 2017. We're going to talk about some of these players here as we get into some things here. Kyle Tucker got to 30 home runs. So that's back-to-back years where he's gotten exactly to 30 home runs. Alvarez finished with 37 home runs, 97 RBIs. So obviously his home run pace really slowed, dealing with the wrist injury, going on the IL, playing through it, not having his power. Hit some home runs later, obviously, in the year, but didn't get to the... He was on pace for 50 at one point, so obviously he didn't get that. But these 4 hitters that we've talked about, we talk about Bregman, we talk about Alvarez, we talk about Tucker. Those are the guys that have to produce for you come, postseason, coming up here. If they don't, I don't know where else you turn. Now, we need someone else to step up, as I mentioned, but if those guys aren't hitting for you, which, I look at it, all these guys have had postseason success. Altuve, obviously, okay? Tucker, we haven't seen enough, I feel like. Tucker needs to show up. But Alvarez obviously won the ALCS MVP last year. And Bregman's also shown up in the playoffs. So, three of the four guys. Tucker hasn't been bad, but I just haven't seen enough to really, sort of. I think he was okay last year. I mean, he hit some home runs, so I don't think the lights are too bright for Tucker. But who else is stepping up? I mean, you got obviously Jeremy Pena. You're gonna have, God, you just go up and down. It's just not very deep. Eliminates Diaz is a guy that I think should be starting for us. We'll see the whole Chas McCormick, Jake Myers, Mauricio Dubon. I mean, where else do you turn? Can Christian Vasquez be an offensive option for us? Obviously, I'm not going to expect anything out of Martin Maldonado because he gives you nothing offensively. Yeah, there's an interesting stat I saw on Maldonado the other day. So he got his 15th home run and like his 47th RBI. And people were celebrating it because that's like the best he's ever done. So the 47 RBIs is the most he's ever had, and the 15 home runs is the most he's ever had. And it's like for any other player that'd be nothing, but for Martin Maldonado that's like an offensive outburst. So yeah, he set his single season home run record with 15, and his single season RBI record with 47, or something. I might be off on one of those numbers there, but that's just interesting that you'd celebrate that as like some big accomplishment. But I just don't get these Astros fans and Astros Twitter that just sort of harp on Martin Maldonado and act like he's this all-time great player when he hits 175. So I just can't get over that as a catcher. Christian Vasquez should get the. I think we'll see Vasquez. We'll see. We'll see how things shake out. All bets are off. I've mentioned this playoff. We'll see how things shake out. But this is when Dusty Baker will be graded because this will be the hardest job a manager has. I would imagine that him and James Clay get together. They see these are 26 guys, and it's Dusty's job to sort of manage them and use them in ways that works. So I talk about managers being largely meaningless, which I will stand by. Managers really don't have a lot of impact on your baseball team, whether it's good or bad. You have good players or you have bad players. If you have good players, you're probably going to win. If you have bad players, you're probably going to lose. Being a manager, baseball manager, is the easiest job in all of sports, if you ask me. Like A.J. Hinch came into a good situation here because Jeff Luna, who deserves credit, along with James Click, they're the people that get you the players. Managers, all they have to do is play them. It's not that hard. You fill out a lineup card every day. Managers will lose you more games than they'll win you. I'll say that. But that's the easiest job in all sports. Like in basketball and baseball, basketball and football, two sports I also watch a lot of. The coaching there is more important because as a basketball player, you have a basketball head coach. You have a playbook. You draw up plays. I mean that's more important. And the same thing goes for football. You have a playbook. You draw up plays. I mean, baseball you don't. You fill out a lineup card, which isn't very hard to do. I mean, yeah. I just don't get managers that get all this praise because it's really not that hard. Anybody can manage a baseball team. It's really not that hard at all. So yeah. We'll see. Dusty will be closely watched in the way he maneuvers his pitching rotation wise and the moves he goes to. He did pretty well last year. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna, blame him for anything last year. All the pitchers stepped up, and the bullpen, obviously, starters couldn't do anything playoffs last year, but our bullpen was huge, and they all did their job. So hopefully we get more of that, but hopefully we won't need to use our bullpen was so taxed by the end of the World Series last year with every game. It just seemed like your bullpen needed to get like through 7 innings, it felt like, because your starters couldn't do anything. So yeah, but we're getting excited here. So roster, so we move to that. This podcast might be I'm coming up on 15 minutes already, but we'll try to make this semi quick here. The roster. So obviously, I'll start with our position players. So you're going to have your two catchers, Martin Maldonado and Christian Vasquez. Gurriel will be there. Mancini will be there. Altuve will be there. Bregman will be there. Pena will be there. Dubon will be there. That's already 8. Jordan Alvarez will be there. Chas McCormick will be there. Kyle Tucker will be there. Alemnis Diaz will be there. That's now 12. So you're looking at one more guy here. And I'm thinking Jake Myers, which would be I'm going 13-13 here. So it's 26. I'm going 13 position players, 13 pitchers. But I just named you 12, and I think Myers would top it off with your 13 guys that make it to the postseason. So I don't think David Hensley. I haven't really left anybody else off. I mean, think about it. They all play, But just to go over it, Maldonado, Vasquez, Gurriel, Mancini, Altuve, Pena, Bregman, Dubon, Alvarez, McCormick, Tucker, Diaz, and Myers. 13 position players. That's how I would do them. I'm not missing. I don't think I'm missing anybody. I mean, Hensley's the other guy, but Hensley, he's not really valuable. I don't see it. All right, those are your 13 guys, and I'm pretty confident that that's the way it will shake out. So Myers does make it as another center field option. Obviously, McCormick will get starts out there. Dubon's more of a utility guy. I think Diaz should get the bulk of the starts in left field, if you're asking me. Gurriel will start first, obviously. Altuve, Bregman, Pena will start, second, third, and short. But yeah, I think Dubon's just utility, not really starting. I think Myers won't start either. Tucker, obviously, there out in right field. Alvarez at DH. But yeah, I'd have Diaz in that lineup because I think his bat is better than a lot of the other options they got. So. Harder part, which we're getting to now, is the pitching. So we'll go with the no-brainers to start. Obviously, Verlander, Valdez, McCullers, Javier. Those are 4 guys that will start, I would imagine. I'm going to wait now on people like Jose Urquidy and Luis Garcia because those people are close. Obviously, your bullpen pitchers. Presley, Montero. That's 6. Yeah, it's 6. Hunter Brown. Brian Abreu. Hector Neris. It's 9. So we need 4 more. I'm missing somebody. I know I'm missing Ryan Stanek. 10. Those are the no-brainers for me. But you got 3 more options here now. Let's see. Phil Maton. Does he make it? Does Phil Maton make it? I would lean towards yes. I do think Phil Maton makes it, which would give me 11. So I'm looking for 2 more. And you're looking at guys like Will Smith and the 2 starters I just mentioned. I think they're going to carry 1 more starter. So it's between Garcia and Urquidy. Who do you want more? Or do you keep them both? And leave sort of, do you leave, I don't think Will Smith has done enough to warrant a roster spot. So I fear that Dusty will keep him on the roster strictly on the fact that he's a left-handed reliever, which I think is stupid. I don't like the fact, I don't think you need a lefty in the bullpen, especially if your lefty isn't any good, and he's not any good. He had his little 4 or 5 outing stretch where he got the ERA under 4. It's actually at 3.97, but he's not a guy that you turn to and say, hey, I need you to get big outs for us in a playoff game. Now, he's had experience, no doubt. That might, there's just so many things that the whole lefty issue, and I hate this more than anything in the world. And I brought this up to a coworker just last week or earlier this week. I mean, I hate the whole, I got 2 out of 3. Look at the opposing team lineup. I got a few lefties coming up, so let me bring in my lefty. I'd rather just give me the better pitcher. screw the whole matchup. I mean, lefty on lefty isn't. Some lefties hit lefties well. It's just I mean, just give me the better pitcher in that sort of scenario. The way I see things is Hunter Brown's sort of your long man in the bullpen. I feel like. So if you put in an Urquidy or Garcia, you're adding another long man. I don't think the Astros are going to want all these. I mean, you got your four pitchers basically, your four starters: Verlander, Valdez, McCullers, and Javier. And Javier might go into the bullpen, which would give you another long arm, another long man. So that's why it's hard for me to envision both Urquidy and Garcia making the postseason roster. One of them has to make it now. It's a hard one to come up with. You think about Urquidy last year was sort of hurt. He did get one start. I don't think he pitched very well. It was one of those games against Boston. Luis Garcia pitched Game 6 against Boston and was phenomenal. Not very good in the World Series, however, but they both had the experience. As I look at Urquidy, obviously the first 2 months of the season wasn't very good. Then he got into the zone, and for like 3 straight months, he was one of our better, more consistent starters. And then he sort of hit a bump in the road late in the year where he was sort of inconsistent a little bit. Now Garcia, who hadn't been real good all year, but his last 3-4 starts actually have been very good. He's dropped the ERA under 3, or under 4, I should say. So it's really hard here, but I'm not going to escape this. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to say Will Smith makes the roster. I don't like this decision. I would probably keep Garcia and Urquidy, but I feel like they're only going to keep one of them with your 4 starters you're already going to have, Hunter Brown. So Will Smith will make it, and that's 12. So I'm looking at Urquidy and Garcia. Oh, I got to think hard here. I think I'm leaning one way. And I think I'm going to go Urquidy. So Garcia will not make it is my decision there. I think Maton will make it. I think Maton makes it strictly based on last year. His very good for us in the postseason. So we'll break this down one more time. So Verlander, Valdez, McCullers, Javier, Jose Urquidy, Hunter Brown, Will Smith, Hector Neris, Phil Maton, Stanek, Montero, Presley, and who did I leave out? Brian Abreu. So there you go. That's my 26 guys. So I gave you the 13-13. I think obviously Hensley's not going to make it, and then I leave Garcia off. But that's the tough decisions you got to make. So that's the way I see it. I'll probably be wrong. We'll see where, and I'll bring that up. Obviously, my time's getting on coming up here will be a little different because it is postseason. I'll have a lot of time, though. So, I mean, the weird day off there after Game 1, which is weird. Day off Wednesday, you play Thursday, then you're off Friday, and then you got 3 back-to-back-to-back games. So, yeah. Quick update. See scoring here. We're in the... Wow, the Mariners already put up a 3 spot in the top half of the first there. So, Cal Raleigh hit a home run, two-run home run, and Suarez hit a double. So Seattle's out to an early 3-0 lead. Phillies and Cardinals are still scoreless in the 7th. So that's been a pitching duel there. We'll see what happens. But yeah, Mariners are off to a fast start there in Game 1. So that'll be what I'll be doing here coming up, watching more playoff baseball. But starting to get excited. The Astros obviously got to wait till Tuesday, so we still got Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But again, I'll be planning to get on after Game 1 or Game 2. I might wait for 2 games to actually be played before I. But it's not going to be my usual Sunday. You'll be looking for me on Friday, a week. So if you hit that subscribe button, you'll get the video right when it comes out. So I urge you to do that. I urge you to hear your opinions. Comment section below. Any people I missed out on, you think I'm stupid or you think I missed something, please let me know. Always response will be given if it's warranted. But yeah, I'll wrap things up there. It's, we're coming up 25 minutes here, but yeah, gave you my roster shakeout. We'll await the Mariners and Blue Jays. I do actually root for the Blue Jays, which might sound weird because the Astros have done pretty well against the Mariners, not so much against the Blue Jays, but I want to beat the team that sort of beat us earlier this year. I want sort of that revenge. So although I think Toronto's the better team, I'd rather face them and I'd rather beat them. So yeah. Anyway, wrap things up there. We'll talk to you in a week.